Amid secrets and sacrifices, a family faces the painful truths of the past, seeking redemption and strength on the journey towards emotional independence and happiness redefined. Madison never imagined that the engineering course, with its complex formulas and logical challenges, would also teach her about love. When she met Robert, a student in the same year, there was an instant connection. They both shared a passion for engineering, but soon discovered an even greater interest in each other. Long nights, studying together in the quiet corridors of the college, gave way to personal conversations, laughter, and, eventually, a deep and unexpected love. Madison and Robert's passion was interrupted by some surprising news. Madison was pregnant. The news took them by surprise, completely transforming the path they had imagined for themselves. At that moment, with the reality of the pregnancy setting in, they both had to make difficult choices. The fear and uncertainty were palpable, but a mutual determination to face the future together began to take shape in their hearts. Determined to take responsibility together, Madison and Robert organized a simple wedding. With limited resources and a lifetime ahead of them, they promised each other love and support in front of a small group of friends and family. The simplicity of the ceremony didn't diminish the depth of their vows. It was a new beginning, marked not by grandeur, but by the sincerity of their promises. After their wedding, Madison and Robert moved into a small apartment, symbolizing their new life together. Madison, despite facing the challenges of pregnancy, was determined to continue her studies for as long as she could. Robert, meanwhile, was balancing college with a job at the local construction company, striving to secure a future for his growing family. Life wasn't easy, but the strength of their union helped them overcome every obstacle. As Madison progressed through her pregnancy, the reality of becoming young parents and students began to weigh on them. Madison made the difficult decision to pause her studies in the 8th month of pregnancy, with the intention of returning after Sophia's birth. Robert, despite the weight of responsibility, continued his studies and work, driven by a determination to provide the best for his family. The moment Sophia entered this world was like a ray of light piercing the shadows of any uncertainty or fear Madison and Robert might have felt about the future. The little girl, with her curious eyes and innocent smile, symbolized the beginning of a new era for both of them. Life, until then marked by individual plans and aspirations, now revolved around this extraordinary being who demanded love, attention, and protection. Madison, in particular, felt a profound change within her. The responsibility of nurturing and guiding a new life filled her days with purpose and immeasurable joy. Every smile, every new discovery of Sophia was a reward that transcended any other personal or professional achievement. Motherhood proved to be a powerful force, transforming her in ways she never imagined possible. On the other hand, Robert found himself overwhelmed by an overwhelming sense of pride and a deep love that was intertwined with the weight of the responsibility to provide and protect. Sophia's presence redefined his priorities, instilling a burning desire to build a solid and secure future for his family. However, this commitment also came with sacrifices, as the hours that used to be spent with Madison and Sophia were now often consumed by work and studies. The balance between dedication to his career and his family became a constant juggling act, where every decision and action had the weight of impacting not only his life, but the lives of the people he loved most. As the months went by, the pressure on Robert to balance work, studies, and family began to intensify. His presence at home became increasingly rare, often justifying his long absences with the need to study late and the accumulation of responsibilities at work. Although Madison understood the importance of Robert's efforts to ensure the family's financial security, she couldn't help feeling a growing distance between them, exacerbated by her own loneliness and isolation from the outside world. Madison's new reality, now focused almost exclusively on caring for Sophia, began to weigh on her. Her college friends' visits were one of the few links to her previous life, and a window into the world outside her routine of maternal care. These moments of connection were precious, but also a reminder of the aspirations and dreams she had put on hold. As Madison adjusted to her new life, the signs of Robert's justified absences began to raise suspicions. Her trust in her husband was unshakable, but the seeds of doubt were sown by casual remarks and comments made by friends and acquaintances. Madison was confronted with the possibility that there was more to Robert's absence than just academic and professional commitments. One fall afternoon, while Sophia was playing quietly on the living room floor, Madison received a visit from an old college classmate, Laura. Between conversations about life and reminiscences of her university days, Laura hesitantly brought up rumors that had been circulating among her former classmates. Robert had been seen in compromising situations with other women. The news struck Madison like a bolt from the blue. She had always trusted Robert, considering the possibility of betrayal a distant, almost impossible reality. Armed with the pain of betrayal and the strength of her love for Sophia, Madison waited for Robert that night. When he arrived, late as usual, she confronted him with the allegations. Robert initially tried to deny it, but faced with Madison's persistence and detailed information, he ended up confessing. The justifications that followed, the stress of work, the pressure of college, the lack of time together, sounded to Madison like lame excuses for unforgivable behavior. With the truth finally revealed, Robert stood before Madison, his voice choked with pleas for forgiveness. He confessed his mistakes, talked about the weaknesses everyone carries, and expressed the visceral dread of seeing the family he loved so much torn apart by his own actions. For Madison, Robert's every word was a blade, reopening old wounds that she thought were healed. The confession wasn't just a betrayal of the trust she had placed in Robert. It was a bitter echo of a past that Madison had fought hard to overcome. Growing up without the presence of a father, abandoned when she needed love and protection the most, left Madison with deep scars and an emptiness that was never completely filled. A childhood marked by paternal absence and her mother's struggle to maintain her dignity in the face of abandonment shaped in Madison a fierce resolve. She would never allow her daughter Sophia to face the same fate. The possibility of Sophia growing up in a fractured home, reliving the same traumas of rejection and abandonment that so tormented her own childhood, was unbearable. Madison's decision to forgive Robert, therefore, transcended the usual dynamics of a marriage shaken by infidelity. It was an internal battle between indignation at having been betrayed and the visceral fear of replicating the cycle of abandonment that had marked her own childhood. In this moment of vulnerability and pain, Madison saw herself not only as a wife, but as the guardian of Sophia's emotional well-being. Forgiveness, although permeated by deep sadness and uncertainty about the future, emerged as an act of resistance against the legacy of abandonment that she was struggling not to perpetuate. So, in choosing to forgive Robert, Madison wasn't just trying to save her marriage. She was trying to save her daughter from the shadow of a past that continued to haunt her. This forgiveness was her battle cry against the ghosts of rejection, a desperate attempt to build Sophia a world where love wasn't conditional, where the family, despite its imperfections, remained united. Madison knew that the road ahead would be full of challenges, but the hope of offering Sophia a childhood different from her own was the beacon that guided her through the darkness. Madison's forgiveness, however, came at its own cost. She now carried the weight of the knowledge of the betrayals, an invisible scar that would forever alter the dynamics of her marriage. Her decision to keep the family together in the face of adversity was a testament to her love for Sophia, but also a reminder of the complexity of love and the personal sacrifice involved in maintaining family ties. After Madison's forgiveness, an apparent calm settled over the family. Robert promised change and, for a while, seemed to make a genuine effort. However, this phase of tranquility was short-lived. Robert's old practices resurfaced, opening new wounds in Madison's already scarred heart. Like a sinister shadow from the past, Robert's betrayals returned, each discovery by Madison bringing renewed pain. Madison, in her solitary discoveries, found herself increasingly faced with a torturous dilemma: confront Robert and risk the disintegration of her family, or choose silence, prioritizing the presence of a father in Sophia's life. Madison opted for silence. In her mind, the image of Sophia growing up in a divided home, navigating between two lives, was unbearable. She justified her silence as a necessary sacrifice, a choice made for her daughter's happiness and emotional stability. But this silence came at a price. Madison's inner loneliness grew, fueled by unspoken secrets and the weight of contained sadness. In rare moments of confrontation, when Madison could no longer contain her pain, Robert justified his actions with excuses that sounded increasingly empty. The pressure of work, the monotony of the daily routine, and a misguided search for escapism were his explanations. Madison listened, each word increasing the emotional distance between them, but deep down, she knew that no justification could erase the pain caused. Over time, the weight of the silence began to affect Madison in ways she hadn't anticipated. The contained pain turned into resentment, a cold shadow that settled between them, turning the love they once shared into a distant memory. Madison wondered, in moments of solitary reflection, if choosing silence would really protect Sophia, or if it would only perpetuate the cycle of pain she herself was experiencing. Despite everything, Madison remained resilient. She found strength in her daughter, in the joy that Sophia brought to her life. The hope that Sophia would grow up happy and loved without the scars of a broken home offered Madison a purpose, a reason to keep going, even when the burden seemed unbearable. Madison clung to the hope that somehow choosing silence was the right path, even when her heart doubted it. Years passed, and an unexpected argument between Madison and Sophia became the stage for a revelation that would change the family dynamic forever. What began as a trivial disagreement about responsibilities and expectations quickly escalated, bringing long-suppressed feelings and resentments to the surface. In a moment of intense emotion, the barriers Madison had built around Robert's past betrayals crumbled. With a trembling voice, but driven by a need for honesty that could no longer be contained, Madison revealed to Sophia the truth about Robert's betrayals. She spoke of the personal sacrifices she had made, of the silence she had chosen to preserve Robert's image as a father and the unity of the family. Madison's words, full of pain and disappointment, fell like a blow to Sophia's heart. Sophia, confronted with this new reality, struggled to process the information. The image of her father that she had admired and loved unconditionally was now tarnished by the truth of his actions. She found herself torn between loyalty to her parents and disenchantment with their choices. Madison's revelations challenged Sophia's perception of her family, of the love and trust she believed to be unshakable. Madison's confessions forced Sophia to reevaluate the foundations on which her family life was built. She began to question not only the relationship between her parents, but also her own experiences and memories. What else had been omitted? How could she trust any truth presented to her? The search for answers led Sophia to a deep questioning of the nature of love and forgiveness. After digesting the harsh reality revealed by her mother, Sophia felt compelled to seek answers directly from the source of her confusion and pain, her father, Robert. With a mixture of resentment and a need to understand, she confronted him, demanding the truth about his past, the choices he had made, and the consequences of these actions for the family he claimed to love. The meeting between Sophia and Robert was full of emotion. When confronted by his daughter, Robert was forced to face the impact of his actions in a way he had never done before. Sophia's presence, the living manifestation of his choices and mistakes, made it impossible for him to resort to the empty justifications he had used before. With a trembling voice and a look that reflected the pain of his own failings, Robert tried to explain himself, talking about the pressures he faced, the mistakes he had made, and the regret he felt. Sophia, although initially driven by anger and sadness, looked to the dialogue for a chance to understand not only her father's actions, but also the man behind them. The conversation revealed the complexities of a man torn between his responsibilities and his mistakes, someone who, despite failing miserably in his role as husband, was still trying to hold on to his role as father. Sophia realized that, although his actions were unforgivable, the man in front of her was also a human being, fallible and full of contradictions. After countless reflections and in-depth conversations, both with Robert and with herself, Madison came to a decision. She chose to remain by Robert's side, but this time, the conditions would be different. Madison set new terms for her married life, demanding respect, sincerity, and, above all, a commitment to repairing the damage caused. She decided that she would no longer live in the shadows of Robert's past, but would instead look for ways to find joy and personal satisfaction, regardless of her husband's actions. Sophia, although internally shaken by her mother's decision, chose to respect and support Madison. Her mother's strength and determination to pursue her own happiness, even in such complex circumstances, taught Sophia a valuable lesson about self-respect and emotional independence. Recognizing Madison's sacrifice, and love for her family, Sophia decided that she would also pursue her own happiness, promising herself never to lose herself in someone else's shadow. The family, now navigating previously turbulent waters with a new compass of understanding and acceptance, began to find a new balance. Madison, with renewed determination, explored new activities and passions that had eluded her during years of silence and sacrifice. Whether it was returning to old hobbies or finding new forms of expression, she committed herself to living fully for herself and for Sophia. Sophia, inspired by her mother's resilience, embarked on her own journey of self-discovery. She learned that self-love and emotional independence are not just abstract concepts, but essential for a full and satisfying life. Committed to not repeating the mistakes of the past, Sophia sought to create a future where her choices and happiness were firmly under her control, free from the shadows of betrayal and sacrifice. Through these individual transformations, Madison and Sophia found a way to rebuild and strengthen their family bond. Love and mutual support served as the foundation for this new phase of their lives, allowing them both to find joy and satisfaction on their own terms. While Robert struggled to make amends and rebuild lost trust, the family as a whole learned the importance of forgiveness, personal growth, and the never-ending search for their own happiness.